Okay, today is June. Is it the 13th, guys? Ooh, small GQAL. June 13th, 2011. We're going to take up the first 2, if not 3 pages of this test, okay? We only have 50 minutes, so we're going to have to move quickly. Very first question. Explain how the graph y equals x squared is transformed to obtain the graph of the following function. Discuss vertical and horizontal shifts, stretches, or compressions, and reflections. Okay, so what's important here is that we remember our skeleton model where we have y is equal to a times x minus h plus k. We need to identify our ah and k. So we have a k, we have our h, and we have our a. First I'm going to discuss a, and what's important about a is there's 2 different types of things we can talk about. First of all, we can talk about stretches or compressions, and we can talk about reflections. Those are 2 separate things. So when I look at this number, I have negative 0.75. I'm first going to talk about reflections. Is this graph reflected? Yes, Jeffrey, yes. Because this is negative, this graph is reflected on the x-axis. So, graph is reflected on the x-axis. That's because it is negative. And it is 0.75. In other words, it is less than 1. Is it stretched or compressed? Compressed. Compressed means it is wider than normal. Stretch means it is thinner than normal. Okay? If it is less than 1, it is wider. That's if it is less than 1, and this is if it's greater than 1. Okay? So this is compressed. And you could say by a factor of, now you could say 3 over 4 or 0.75. Okay? So we've done with A. Next we'll do is H. H is positive 4. So first of all, that deals with which axis, X or Y? You guys not know this? X. Deals with our x-axis, so it's a horizontal shift. So we're going to say horizontally shifted. Which way? To the left. It is a positive number, but remember H is backwards. So if it's a positive number, it goes in a negative direction. So that's to the left by 4 units. And finally, K. This is talking about vertical shift downwards because it is negative by 7 units. Question 2. For the parabola, y equals negative 4 times x minus 5 squared plus 13, state, first one, whether it is concave up or down. So is it opening upwards or is it opening downwards? Y downwards. So because it's negative, downwards. Okay? Coordinates of the vertex. How do I find the coordinates of the vertex? That's right. Our H and our K represent coordinates of the vertex. Now, K is the Y coordinate, and it's the exact same as before. So because it's 13, we know the Y coordinate will be 13. the x-coordinate is represented by h, but it's backwards. So if it's -5, our x-coordinate is +5. +5 and 13 are the coordinates of the vertex. Axis of symmetry. Anyone know? Okay. What does it do? Why is it 5? Whatever the x-intercept, whatever the x value of the vertex is the exact same as the axis of symmetry. So because the x-coordinate of the vertex is 5, our axis of symmetry is x equals 5. Is it a maximum or minimum? It is a maximum because we already said that this parabola opens downwards, so it has a top highest point, which means it has a maximum. What is the value of the maximum? It is the exact same as the y-coordinate of the vertex, so the value is y is equal to 13. Okay, what about the domain? Oh yeah, I forgot. I thought that's the grade 11. All right, don't worry, you don't need to know domain and range. Okay, I can tell you anyway. Domain deals with how far this graph is going to go left to right. It deals with the x-axis, your domain. So, I'm telling you in general. So because it deals with the x-axis, and this is a parabola that goes forever, domain goes forever. It's considered infinite. So it would be represented by this, D as domain, and it says it's the set of all real numbers. That means it goes forever. Don't worry about it. It's just some extra knowledge you need to know. I know we didn't touch on this. The range deals with the y-axis. Now, because this has a maximum, but then goes the other direction forever, the range is R. Now, technically, it touches every point, and then we state a restriction. Because it is below 13, we say y is every real number when it is less than or equal to 13. Maybe that could be a bonus. Why not? You don't have to know what the bonus is. And finally, is it a vertical stretch, compression, or neither? We're talking about A. That means it's stretched. If it is greater than 1, it is stretched. So it is stretched. So, if our normal function looks like this, this would be called compressed, wider. And that's when the numbers are between 0. So that's when A is between 0 and 1. And this is called stretched. And that's when A is greater than 1. Okay? That's what we're talking about. Okay. In the next question, you're going to plug in the x value for the equation. In this question, you need to plug in each of these numbers for x to solve what the y is going to be. I'm going to try to quickly do these on the side. In our first function, I'm just debating on whether I technically need to do that. I don't really have to do that. What we can do is look at this and graph it, which I think I'll rather do instead. Because I know that you know how to plug numbers into an equation, it just becomes algebra. By looking at this equation, you guys should be able to graph it, okay? I'll graph our normal y equals x squared. We know that that vertex is at the origin. And if we were to draw it, we would go over 1, up 1, both ways. Over 2, up 4. If we go over 3, how many do we go up? That's right. So if we take a look at this, this is our original parabola. Okay? Now, our new parabola has A is equal to 2. So the only difference is my vertex hasn't changed at all. It's still right here. The only difference is when I go over 1, I square that number. So what's 1 squared? I normally go up 1, but because A is 2, I multiply the amount I go up by 2. So normally I have 1 squared times 2. Then I would have 2 squared times 2 because our A is equal to 2. So in our first one, I go over 1, up 1 times 2, I go up 2. Same with negative 1. Normally we go over 2 and square it. That would be 4 times 2, 8. And finally, normally we go over 3, up 9. I would normally go up 18. I don't have that on that graph. So, instead of graphing all of the points, by looking at this equation, I can easily graph it. If you notice, it is thinner than the original one. It's inside our original parabola. So it's stretched. I only wanted to graph it so you didn't really have to talk about this at all. Okay, our next one we'll do in blue. We're going to talk about the vertex first. First of all, our black one is going to be our original, okay? Our vertex starts at the origin. Our K is negative 3. So that means I'm going down 1, 2, 3. And our H is positive 4. So I go in the opposite direction of positive. I go which way? Left, negative direction. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the new vertex, okay? And our A also has a value. It's positive 2. So again, instead of going over 1, up 1, I go over 1, up 2. Because I multiply that 1 times 2. Now when I go over 2 from the vertex, I normally go up 1, 2, 3, 4. But I have to multiply that by 2. So I go up 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here's a new point. Over 1, 2. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And just to make sense of this, we'll do the 3 also. So from the vertex, I go over 1, 2, 3. Normally we go up 9. What is 9 times 2? That's not even going to fit on here. But it'd be way up there. So, again, our parabola is a thinner version of our original, and it's been transformed on the graph. Our vertex is moved in this one because we have an H and a K value. And finally, our K, our final graph. We start at the origin. Our K is negative 3 again, so I go down 1, 2, 3. I have plus 4, so I go to the left again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our vertex is at the exact same spot. The only difference is our A is negative 2. So, instead of going upwards, I head downwards from the vertex. And because it's 2, it's again stretched by a factor of 2. So I go over 1, down 2. Over 2, down 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there is our parabola. Okay. Again, we have this parabola. Our normal one is vertex over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4, over 3, up 9. So this is our original parabola, y equals x squared. Our new parabola, y is a half. The vertex, there's no h and k, so the vertex is at the exact same spot. It's negative, so it's facing downwards. And we multiply whatever we go up and down by a half. So normally I go over 1, down 1. But I multiply 1 by a half, I go over 1 down a half units. Normally over 2 down 4. 4 times a half is 2, so I go over 2 down 2. Over 3, half of 9 is 4.5, so I go over 4.5. 4 squared is 16. Half of 16 is 8, so I go down 8. And if you guys notice, this is a more, I guess we'll say fatter since you guys want to use that lingo, is wider than our original one. Not right now. Next question. Vertex. We got to go down 7, and because it's positive 6, so we're on 7 here, and because it's positive 6, we go to the left 6. This is our new vertex. Again, it is a half and it's negative. So same idea. Over 1 down a half from the vertex. Over 2 down 2. Over 3 down 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. 4.5. So again, we have a wider parabola in this question.